talk to you about the French Revolution. The French Revolution, which was around the end of the 1700s, started because most of the French population in something which is called the Third Estate was very poor and starving. And so these people got fed up with their monarch, King Louis the 16th. And so one thing leads to another. There's fighting. Somebody creates something which chops somebody's heads off, but we'll get to that later. That's insane. But what really starts it all off is something called the Estates General. So Matt, why don't you fill us in?
Well, since everybody was, distressed, Louis the 16th, the King of France at the time, he did something that no other king did before. He called in the Estates General, and it was made up of three parts. The first estate, which were the nobles. The second estate, which was the clergymen. And the third estate, which was everybody else, the merchants, the peasants, the farmers, all of that.
Yeah. So when Louis the 16th called this Estates General, the third estate, which was all of these poor people, they felt like they had no power over these nobles and these clergymen. So they got mad and they left. But Louis the 16th, he didn't want them to leave because he knew that they could outnumber the other two classes. So he locked them onto this tennis court. And what happened there?
There, they decided they're going to make their own government. Either they were going to make their own republic, and they were going to make a constitution. And they drafted what is known as the tennis court oath because it was, drafted in a tennis court.
Yeah, in that oath, they vowed not to leave until the constitutional monarchy was changed. All right, so this all leads up to our very first battle in this French Revolution. It happened on July 14th, which now is known as Bastille Day or the French Independence Day. At this battle, peasants from the Third Estate stormed a prison known as the Bastille, looking for weapons and food. At that time, there were only 7 prisoners in this prison, so they also freed them. There were shots fired, but not many deaths. But this is what prompted the drafting of the Declaration of the Rights of Man and Citizen. So, what is that?
Well, it's comparable to the American Constitution. It gave all men the rights of liberty, property, and security.
Which sounds a lot like life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness set forth in Acts. So then, next thing which happens is the Women's March.
And in the Women's March, it was rumored that Marie Antoinette, which was the Queen of France at the time, she had a bunch of grain stored in the Palace of Versailles. And the women stormed the palace, and they found no grain, but they did take the family and move them back to Paris.
Yep. So then the French Revolution really was more about lack of food and well-being than having a constitutional monarch versus a tyrant or a president or a prime minister.
Unlike our revolution, ours was about kicking Britain out of America, but this revolution was more about the food, as Jamie said, but it was also about the political system, which really made it hard on the poor.
Yeah. So So while all this fighting is going on, there are separate sects in this group of peasants. One sect, known as the Jacobins, called for a republic. This was a very radical group, and others who supported the revolution merely called for a constitutional monarch and food. But these Jacobins, they saw us. They saw our new president. They saw our country flourishing, and so they were like, oh hey, look, I want exactly what he's having. So
they were known as the radicals. And the next thing that happened was France attacked Austria. Now they wanted some of the riches that Austria had, and they also wanted food because the country had no food and the citizens were starving.
Yeah, but then this plan backfires on the French because as soon as France declares war on Austria, the Prussians choose to join Austria in the fight against France.
And Louis the 16th, king at the time, he supported the Prussians because he was not being treated that well in France. Because the king supported them, he was put on trial for being an enemy of the revolution, and it was voted by one vote that he would be put to death, and this death was by
guillotine.
The guillotine.
So his head gets chopped off. There is a no more king. So what happens now? Do we get the next person in line for the throne? Do we create a brand new system of a government? And well, this was answered with the next constitution that was drafted.
This constitution made France a republic. Finally,
finally. So those radical Jacobins, they actually get what they want.
And the death of Louis XVI, it marked the beginning of the Reign of Terror.
During this reign of terror, over 16,000 enemies of the revolution are executed.
France was still at war with Britain and Austria at this time, and they ended up winning due to a little man named Napoleon Bonaparte.
No, he did not vote for Pedro. But anyways, in 1799, Bonaparte is elected by the people as the first Council of France. With this, he was granted nearly unlimited power over all of France.
And Napoleon was really an emperor, so they really didn't have a republic, even though it was called, a republic.
Yeah.
And after Napoleon fell, France reverted back to a monarchy.
Yeah. But if you look at Bonaparte's reign as the first council, he was really more of a king than Louis the 16th. Like, he actually led France to military victories. He did stuff for his people, things that a king should have done. He fought in battle like a king would have done, and not really what a president or a council would have done.
In the end, whether the French Revolution succeeded in being a revolution is up to the interpreter. But it did cause people to think differently than before, and it gave birth to certain ideas that we, as a human race, are still exploring today.
Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.